an Old World article came out yesterday. Yeah, there it is. Also, let me just chill. I was doing a lot of organising this morning, and I'm feeling a bit like I got too serious. So I just need to wind down a little bit. Maybe, do you know what? Let's just get ourselves in the right emotional headspace. Come on. Let's do that before we do anything. Let's get ourselves in the right emotional headspace. You know what time it is. Let's go. Let's go. You know what time it is. If anyone in the chat can guess what time it is, but you know what time it is. Okay. You know what time it is. We need to chill it down. Okay. Let's do it.
The name's Brogan, Lieutenant Brogan. For 20 years, I was with the NYPD. Now, well, let's just say I transferred to another precinct.
Boy, that went harder than it needed to. Absolutely harder than it needed to. So, like Michael Caine in Muppets Christmas Carol, his best live performance. Right, okay, this isn't fantasy content. That's true. That's true. All right, okay. Well done to the... Okay, right, let's go talk about Old World. We're in now. Okay. If I worked in the office, I would not have been able to wave my arms in the air just then, not without questions anyway. That's true. That's why working from home is the best. Michael Caine. Michael Caine's best performance was obviously in Muppet Christmas Carol, right? Like Alan Rickman in Robin Hood. It's true. Alan Rickman's best performance was with a spoon, because it would hurt more. Fucking love Prince of Thieves. What a great movie. I might watch that later. Immediately alienate all the people with our freaky fucking references. Listen, okay, maybe we alienate the wrong people, but the right people who've only just tuned in for the first time are like, maybe these are my people. Listen, we're 1 in 100 sorts of people, okay, and that's fine. That's my wife, Crone. Hello, Captain Andrew. Good morning. Hope you're well over there. This is why I work in a factory. No one bats an eye acting weird. That's true. I appreciate Kevin Costner not just being asked trying to be English. He's just American. Right, okay. Right, Old World. Let's talk about Old World. Should we go through the article? Yeah, let's just go through the article. Right, okay. So, Old World, if no one knows for some reason, I don't know why they were watching this stream, but maybe, me and Elvin Pitt were having a chat about this earlier, maybe, since Games Workshop obviously started doing advertising 6 years ago, their profits are up like 260, I think it's 269%, which is obviously nice. But, like, it's up a lot, is the point. And I think it's fair to say, since Old World got destroyed, however many bloody years ago, 6 or 7 years ago, that they have significantly increased their user base. Like, their user base has skyrocketed. So new customers, lots of lots of people into it. So sure, loads of those might be new 40k players, loads of those, and customers. I think customers is probably a better word to use today instead of players, because obviously the thing that the Honest Wargamer is most interested in is obviously events and people going to events and all that other jazz. But we probably should talk about like the fact that they're customers, like just people who buy stuff and don't really go to events. Okay, so like their numbers have skyrocketed. So the people who are going to be interested in Old World are going to be people who previously played Old World, and also people who have never played it. And I think, get ready for this statement, the people who have never played it but are Warhammer interested is significantly higher than the population of people who did used to play it. Because I think a lot of the conversation happens around the people who used to play it, who might go back and play it. So 40k players, like older 40k players, older Age of Sigmar players. And then there's a whole swath of new Warhammer people, especially during COVID, loads of new people got into Warhammer, who are like, do you know what? I bought Total War, or I'm interested in that fantasy setting. And I think that number is significantly higher than the population that used to play it. So it doesn't really matter if the population that used to play it buys the new one. I think the new population is going to buy it in droves. And there's a bunch of reasons why. It's got to be really hard for Games Workshop to time the release of Old World as they release the Daylight computer game so variable, and getting to launch at the same time as the next Total War release will be tricky. Like, Like, they could have released it at the same time as this Total War release and made bank, right? But they didn't. I got to say that every scene over here is bigger than Warhammer Fantasy Battle ever was in 20 years. Of course, Wookie, of course. But, like, it's not a one-for-one comparison. It's not like what happened was the old world blew up and everyone just downed dice and then sat mothballed like the clay men in, like, the tombs, in China. They weren't just like, we wait until we rise. And they're like, old world. And then their eyes snap open and they're like, I return. That's not what it is. like gaming communities have generally grown and been massive, especially over the past like decade. And so anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on that so far. I think Old War would not happen without the success of Total War. I think I kind of agree with that. That's me though. That bloke who burned one fights about Alarm with end times. His name is Death Holy Death. How dare you talk about him like that? Anyway, right. Old World Development Diary. Explore the torn lands between the world that was. So this is their dev diary. So they've done one of these before, and they featured Bretonnia and Tomb Kings. We're pretty certain the launch box is Bretonnia and Tomb Kings. So what I was thinking today is we might start looking at what those rosters might look like. Specifically because, obviously, I'd like to play the Old World when it launches, at least to try it out. So I think I'm going to produce a couple of armies. I'm going to produce a Bretonian and a Tomb King army, but obviously they are sold out. So, burr goes the 3D printers, and so yeah, we'll talk about that. A simple fix is to create a new version of Total War 3 that gives the Immortal Realms without news by Total War 1 and 2 simultaneous release and watch it explode. Dave, I agree. I think that they might do that at the same time. That is a good point. Okay. So they're going to talk to Rob Alderman, who's a lovely guy, of the Warhammer Studio to explore the gripping setting of Warhammer, the Old War, in more detail. Of the Warhammer Studio. So I'm pretty certain. So again, little side note for people who are new or people who don't really know the inner workings of Games Workshop and aren't degens like me, who know a little bit too much. Warhammer Studio is kind of like, I think, a bit of a gag, because I think Rob specifically works in Forge World. And Forge World is pretty much a state unto itself. It's, for the US people, it's the Puerto Rico of I guess it's actually not Puerto Rico. I guess it's more like Washington, where it's not a state, but it has a lot of power. Puerto Rico is not a state and also has no power. So I guess it's more like Washington. For English people, it's the Isle of Wight, and then for or Guernsey, and then for everyone in Europe, it's Switzerland, I guess, is the best way to describe it. Or the Vatican, yeah. As a DC resident, we have zero power. Yeah, well, I mean, that's where all the power happens, is kind of my point. But, okay, fair. What about Wales? This is the valleys. This is the valleys. Good morning, Winner Dave. Anyway, right, Rob, we've hinted at the unprecedented amount of work that has gone into this new game, and it's saying, what I mean is, it's funny that they're not crediting Forge World, and that it's now just the Warhammer Studio. This is, I think, something we're going to see in future articles, where it becomes less and less specific on who and what the game designers are, and where they work, and that would just be like, Rob Alderman of Games Workshop, of no actual job. We've hinted at the unprecedented amount of work that has gone into some of the new game and its setting. So that's really exciting to talk about today, because actually I need to do some research on this. In Candlelit Secrecy Behind the Great Oak, our goal was to create a game that captures the best elements and additions of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, but at the same time providing new and exciting rules and fresh challenges to overcome. Okay, I think the first thing to kick off with is I feel like this is new art, right? I don't know if anyone's done the TLDR or the research on this, but this looks like new art. And just to scroll past all the text for a minute, this art has been shared a lot online. Very, very evocative. And before we look at any of the other content, this is just a big hit. Games Workshop have a lot of money. They have a lot of very talented artists. This is just going to be a selling point, in my opinion, for the Old World, because it all makes fucking sense. When you see a Kharadron Overlord on a skyboat, you think that's cool, that's really awesome, that's high fantasy, that's wicked as hell. This just makes sense, though. The realism is just something people can understand, and I think that's going to lean to its popularity. I think that this is going to be very popular because this is something that makes sense to just a Norman. Normans, by the way, are what we call normies, just regular folk. You know, the people who think Game of Thrones is a bit too fancy. there's a bit too much magic and stuff in Game of Thrones. Is that you on the left? No, it's not. Right? Muggles is another word to use. We're taking it back to the old school. It's true. We don't know who's producing it yet. We don't know if it's plastic. So that's another great question in the chat, another good point in the chat. And we'll come back to that, Terry. Remind me to come back to that in a minute. It's stories we've all grown up and learned about, so it's familiar as well. Yeah, of course. Of course. This is Robin Hood. This is Gladiator. I'm not sure if there's any like Romanesque people in it. But yeah, Vikings, because all the Chaos Warrior dudes, or even like the Kislev dudes are basically Vikings. If anyone's a fan of things like The Wall or... I mean, it's nothing like Rush Hour 2, but like The Mummy, Rise of the Dragon Emperor. I'm trying to think of like what would really be representative of what faction are they called? Not Kislev, the new one. Oh god, it'll come to me. Braveheart. Braveheart is another good movie. That makes a load of sense. It's just stuff like Cathay. Thank you, Stokesy, in the chat. Yeah, it's just great art. Mulan, King Arthur. King Arthur is another great one because obviously you've got that. Like Three Dynasties, just pocket. Like they literally just. It's just slightly fantasy. Oh, it's quite fantasy. It's Lord of the Rings. It's everything. So like, while some of that is in Age of Sigmar, right? But they have their own setting and everything else. Like, this is the selling point because. Because me and my friend Tom were talking about this a lot recently. We were like, you walk into a Games Workshop or a local gaming store or wherever, and you see a bunch of boxes on the shelf. You do not know what the game plays like. You have no idea what the game plays like. You've got like, I'm just opening that up for the minute, and we'll come back to that, I promise. I promise, Leo. You have no idea what the game looks like or how it plays. So you buy an army pretty much without ever having, maybe you played an intro game, but probably just your mate says it's good, or your mates are getting into it. Thank you very much, Pedro Fantastico, for resubscribing, and everyone for resubscribing today. It's very much appreciated. I see Aldem did as well. Like, you just buy pretty much not having a fucking clue. You just don't, like, I mean, some people probably actually do their due diligence and research, but Games Workshop itself has definitely cultivated a consumer base of, how can we say, impulse control problematic people, not outing anyone in the chat, but it might be you. Just saying. Like, I mean, Norsca is Viking Norman inspired. Kislev is Russian Slav inspired. The Empire is Germanic. Yes, thanks, Skinny Dog. Yes, I picked that up. And the Lizard Men are Aztec inspired. If we could go on, if you fancy. Like, but yeah. You're problematic. You've outed the whole chat. Anyway. So my point is, before we read anything else, is this art is going to absolutely drag people in. This just makes sense. You just see that, and I'm like, yeah, that's great. This one, I think a lot of people were big fans of this. A lot of people big fans of this. And then obviously you back that up with Games Workshop's reputation of producing some pretty fantastic miniatures. When they do produce these, the paint jobs on them will look fantastic. They'll have amazing photo shoots. I just think that this is a huge selling point. And I've said this when I talk about 40k, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda. Games Workshop, one of Games Workshop's best ways of selling their product has always been the art that they produce, while it's fucking embarrassing they don't actually credit their artists. But I understand corpos are going to corpo, so... Don't forget, the last... Okay, I need some context, because people are going to be like, Rob, it's the same company. Okay. We need to look at this again. And I don't want to. I don't want to do this again, but we're going to do this again. So, Beasts of Chaos, there's the miniature there, was sold to us like this. That made people not play. That made people quit Warhammer. That's what I'm trying to get at. That made people quit the game. Okay? Right? Like, That, okay, the barely contained rage by Rob is a joy to behold. Like, best bin vid ever. It's just... I've never seen this before. You haven't seen the whole thing, MJ Pegasus. I'll show you the whole thing. There you go. That's how they sold Beast of Chaos to us. So, someone needed to be fired for this. I agree. Anyway, let's go back to the old world. Okay. So, like, maybe the old world people just won't be as fun. I don't know what they were trying to do in that last video, right? It's disgusting. Like, even more hype for Beastmen. Oh my god, somebody needs to get me a curry goat for lunch. Right, anyway, so I think the art is a really good selling point, and I think it's going to have some massive traction with an audience because it's very relatable. It makes sense. You don't need to explain the Germanic two-hander guy. You understand it. You've seen these before. Not portrayed particularly well, I think, in almost any movie, but here they are, effectively. Right, anyway, let's actually get back to the article, because I think I made that point. His mission guy looks so bad. If it's one thing I hate in my games, it's fun. Is it on? No, it's not fun. I'm saying I want fun. That video's not fun. It's embarrassing. Anyway, can you explain the COD pieces to me? I don't know what they are, is my answer. So, I reckon, I don't know what that is. A COD piece is made of metal. Because if someone's wanging a two-handed sword at your crotch. Also, aren't those things meant to, like, deflect the shot? So doesn't it just, like... Does it like a shield? So wouldn't it just deflect into your inner thigh where your arteries are? Like, yeah, metal or leather. Okay. Also, anyone who walks through a museum like Leeds Armory has seen swords like that and gone, that's mental and cool as hell. Exactly. Which is filled with wadding so you can piss in full play. That's gross. It's okay. I wish die intact, Rob. Yeah, I could lose my leg in my life, but not my. I'd rather take a sword to the crotch, the thigh than the crotch, all the same. That's fair. It's okay. That's fair. That's a good point. That's a good point. I guess you really want it to look like a. You want it to like have a capture style shape, like a. But that'd probably be uncomfortable to Codpiece explained. Anyway, let's move on. The old world. One of the most important aspects of Warhammer the Old World is the setting itself. Obviously, that's literally the only selling point. Because they can't sell us the game right now. Like, at the top, they've been like, it's a good game. And we're like, we'll be the judge of that. Obviously, this is a world that was, and the world of legend destroyed by the machinations, the ruinous powers of chaos at the culmination of the end times. An event that doomed the denizens of the old world to oblivion and heralded the birth of the mortal realms at Age Sigmar. So they're maintaining the timeline. So you're playing in a doomed setting. You're playing on a planet in a time where the end times, if no one knows what that is, it's a series of 5 different campaign books which led to the culmination of the entire world being destroyed. Mainly because Manfred, if anyone knows who Manfred is, he's like a vampire lord. Mainly because Manfred's a little bit of a bitch. I think that's a fair statement. I don't know anyone who's read the whole thing. I've read the whole thing. That's kind of my statement. For now, easy enough to retcon once new Coke stops selling. That's true. There's some propaganda having a meltdown about that paragraph in all world groups. Good, perfect, love that. Manfred is definitely, thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but do you edit these streams into videos? Would like to share with my friends. Hello, Decknell24. Yes, I do. There's a load of these streams actually already on my YouTube channel, The Honest Wargamer. But there's also a new YouTube channel called The Honest Wargamer Streams, which you guys might be able to find, which are also going to be more edited down versions of these. But normally, it's just the 2 hours of unhinged nonsense that me and chat do, so that's it. But there's a bunch on my YouTube channel you can go find if they're of interest to you. Cetra was great. I see the way awesome I am enjoying. Good, I'm glad. Welcome to the gang. Okay, so This is a world that was. Okay, so we're going to be playing in that setting, but actually we're playing a few years back at work. This is basically a cult. It is a cult. We have merch. I have Twitch exclusive merch coming. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, I wouldn't say we're unhinged. Certainly nonsense though. A lot of whimsy. 2023, year of whimsy. It's important to remember, though, that even though the setting is returning, these events still happened, and the old world is destroyed. The end times had long foreshadowed in the background of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, so they're keeping with it. And I agree with one of the statements in the chat that maybe they'll retcon it. Like, Games Workshop has never put out an article, then deleted everything in the article, ever. So I don't expect that to happen. But they probably... I don't know, maybe they'll keep it. Maybe it's going to be part of the story. Maybe they'll intertwine the end time stuff. I mean, the real big pitch is to go through the whole kind of universe again and then do another end times. That's the absolutely big brain business move, is to do the whole thing again. Like, I feel like someone from the AOS team was pretty forceful in that comment being there. Yeah, I reckon Gangster's Pair of Dice. Also, little side note as well, if you're new, apparently there's a little fight going on between everyone making Old World and Age of Sigmar, so inside the company, great gossip, love that. Judgment Day is inevitable, that's correct. The end time's long, but yeah, like Geordie Gamer Guy says, this is going to be the Empire before the Empire. Great art. Love everything about that art. He's got a dirk. He's got a pistol. These are going to be some great miniatures. With the end of the world well documented, the design team wanted to explore the history of the old world in more depth, to examine events in the history of the Warhammer in more detail than ever before. But which part of its long and storied history should they focus on? Go too far back in time to the War of the Beard or the time of Sigmar, for example, and the setting would become unfamiliar. This led us to events well known to fans in the old world. This is quite nice as well, because if they wanted to, they can go and do the war in the time of the beard, right? Like, Games Workshop's a company that has to, like, number one, it obviously has a production content cycle, like obviously Magic the Gathering, where it's going to do a new edition of 40k this summer. That means all new codexes. That means some new miniatures. But each one of those is an opportunity to produce sales. But very much like with the Horus Heresy, they were like, okay, let's dip into our 30k. Build this whole thing, sell books, sell minis, create this whole universe, add that, sell the IP, create videos, all that other stuff. So for this, they're like, oh, by the way, we might eventually, 20 years down the line, go to the War of the Beard. Or they're building IP so heavy that things like Marvel really can't compete with it. Because, like, 40k's got 30 years, and I think Old World had roughly 30 years worth of IP, but also don't forget all that IP is literally lifted off. Like, this is a Germanic, like, empire dude. Right, so like they've also got all of human history that they've riffing on there. They had a War of the Beard supplement. It was okay. Nice. Warhammer Cinematic Universe now. That's correct, Fishmen. Morgan Storm Smash, it's so great to see you in the chat. They could easily bring Star Trek Kelvin Timeline Temp event to the old world at some point. Just send Van der Samham back through the Wall of Eternity to kill Archeon, back when he's called Daedric or something. That's true. That could happen. Hello, Lex. Marvel is like 80 years old, Rob. Is that true? Then why do they use the same joke in every film? That's my question. That's my real question. That's what I want to know. We stopped the end times, John. Maybe we only delayed it. Anyway, this because Marvel. Okay. Right. This led us to events well known to fans of the old world: the Great War Against Chaos and the Siege of Prague. 2 centuries, Prague being a capital city just before the northern wastes. Like, we actually can see this on a map now. What's Burrito Warlock? Thank you for resubscribing. What's awesome is if you have played the Total War franchise, and if you've played something like the one where you just do the whole campaign, it's like the whole map. You literally can play. So I specifically know exactly where Prague is. Yeah, it's just it's the northern part of Kislev. Yeah, just in the north, and it's just before. It's right. It's also it's near the Skaven Citadel as well. It's also near the Skaven Citadel. Immortal Empires, thank you. So it's just right up there. And I mean, we could show it on a map right now. And that's great. The whole thing's mapped out. And I guess that's also something that's kind of interesting, because maybe something Age of Sigmar lacks. Listen, I'm going to make this statement now. and then I don't need to make it again for the rest of the show. I love Age of Sigmar. I'm going to continue Age of Sigmar. If Old World comes out and it's good to play, I'll play both game systems because they'll both give me different things. I've been a long time fan of Age of Sigmar. The Old World's popularity in the Old World's like the fact that it's coming out doesn't diminish Age of Sigmar or in any way. I just want that to be super clear. You can be excited about several things at once. I know, crazy, but you have to have a favorite kid. So, all you dads out there, pick right now. All you mums out there, pick right now. Impossible. I love AOS, but I don't like the whole realm stuff. I like tangible map. I have to remember that borders might be different and change over the 250 years. That's true. That's true. And Rob Type 0, thanks for subscribing. First time subscriber. Welcome to the gang. This led us to the events known, so the War of Prague, 2 centuries before the end times, more precisely, come on Rob, enunciate. We decided to look into the decades prior to this legendary world-changing event. In those years, before the Chaos Lord Asavar Kull led his army south against the nations of men and dwarves, the Empire of Man was not a unified nation that bravely faced the armies of Archaon that players of Warhammer Fantasy Battle remember. Instead, it was a deeply divided and ravaged by the following long centuries without unifying presence of a single emperor. Okay, so a couple of bits on this. Number one, this means that they can Space Marine the Empire, which is important for Games Workshop. So what we could have is the same kits, but obviously you can paint them all in different ways to represent your little city-states, which is cool, like Nuln and everything else. Like Karl Franz, when he finally whipped the Empire together, which is literally the story of the Emperor, which is literally the story of Sigmar. Like, Games Workshop only ever have one story to tell, ever. A blue-eyed, blonde-haired man joined all of the nations together and then went on a crusade to fight the evil Dark Ones. Every story that they make, just as an FYI, that's their story. Like, the story of IP. Isn't that how the Empire worked? Like, the Empire is just the Swiss, yeah. Nord steam tank and volley gun army for the win. I agree. Yeah, maximum Aryan satire in brackets, of course. Seriously, Warhammer Fantasy 4th Ed is fantastic. Okay, Bruce Oakman, I haven't played it yet. But it's satire, honest, yeah. Now, this was not Carl. No, anyway. But this is the story. Instead, it was deeply divided and ravaged. But this means that they'll be able to sell us Empire kits. So these two-handed swordsmen, gunners and everything else, and then we can paint them in different heraldry, right? So then what we'll be able to do is, so that's great for them straight away. If each one of their like sets is more divisible in how they produce it, then that's good for them. You know, they've sold Space Marine shoulder pads and heads in a million different ways. And Forge World are about that as well, right? Like, this is coming out of Forge World. Forge World love that. They produce Space Marine armor types. You're like, oh, you're playing Iron Warriors. That's actually more of a Mark V armor. And then you need these shoulder pads and head in addition, right? So, yeah, these are going to be the human land marines, which will be quite interesting. Got to bounce. See you later, Pedro. Look after yourself. Forge would love an alternative head as much as Game Workshop love a book. It's true. Okay, anyway. So, Anarchy in the Empire. Following the death of the famed Emperor Mandred von Zelt, the Elector Counts were unable to decide upon a successor, and when the Countess of Talabicland and the Count of Stirland mobilized their armies to claim the imperial throne by force, the lands of the Empire fell into civil war. In the centuries that followed, numerous claimants to the imperial throne emerged, deepening the divides between the provinces of the empire and prolonging the civil war. Thus, at the time the old Warhammer Old World is set, in the years before the Siege of Prague, the empire stands divided, riven by intrigue and beset by intricate war. On the many provinces that once formed the empire, four stand tall, their mighty rulers pressing their claim for the imperial throne and hoping to reunify the fractured realm. Now, we already said that we think the launch box is going to be Bretonnia versus Tomb Kings. What's thrilling about that is I already completely understood it. I already had a bunch of fantasy books that I've read, movies that I've seen, TV shows I've seen, all come to the fore, and I already understood that. And what's crazy is we're just reading about one faction. That's all we're reading about for the old world. There's already loads inside there where our minds can already race, right? Bring stuff that got leaked. Bring back the old Bretonian Lance formation. I agree. If all will get better Lizardmen models that need Seraphon currently have, going to lose my shit. I think Seraphon are being re-released this year, Logan. Just as FYI, I'm pretty certain. All new models for Seraphon this year. Did you notice they call orcs and goblins actually orcs, not uruks, and other AOS stuff? Desert Sketch, I did. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't Kislev. You would think it would be Kislev, and therefore, that's why you would be wrong. Because it would make the most sense. But also, why not come back with your two big hitters? If you were trying to get all of the people who left the game, then you introduce a new faction after that, right? This sounds more and more like a 30k type deal. Have they confirmed other races? Yeah, they have. They have already confirmed other races. Exit Len, thank you very much for resubscribing. Super appreciate you. Right, in the centuries that followed, numerous claims. So we've done this. So, I mean, that's a great setting already, right? Like, if I sold you just that as a fantasy setting, if I say Games Workshop, we're just going to make an Empire of Man game, literally just the Emperor and all of that, and then we're going to literally Horus Heresy it, you would just be like, yeah, do you know what? That sounds okay. Like, I'm interested. You would at least be interested. I'm not saying it sounds brilliant. I'm not saying it's top of the pile, but I'm saying it's at least interested. All four of the listed rival emperors also have their own patron god, Sigmar, Tal, Ulrich, and Manan. Thank you, Morgan Stormsmasher, for being fucking the OG and understanding. And you can just release the existing Brett kits, and the Empire ones are already in production. That's true. Okay is exactly what I'd say. Yeah, it makes sense to have the armies that don't have AOS easy comparison starters to distinguish it. Yes. Hello, Outnot. I hope you're well. Rob Highland Miniatures are going to do so well from Old World. I think a lot of the 3D print companies are going to do really well from Old World. I really, really do. But I also think Games Workshop are going to do really well from Old World as well. You have to remember, like, if you're a 3D printer bro, like I am, and like several of you are in the chat, we're at the we're at the kind of like the thin end of the wedge of wargamers. There's a whole bunch, like, we have the people who go buy the kits, build them, paint them, take them to the tournaments. They're also at the incredibly thin end of the wedge. And then you've got, like, and I'm talking, we're in the 5% of players. You're talking 95% are just like going to buy a box, buy a couple of boxes, buy the launch box, right? Yeah, with the tip of the spoon. I'm going to eat his heart with a spoon. Perfect. I feel like loads of people are going to magnetize bases and use models in both AOS and fantasy. Yeah, potentially. Very potentially. Right, the Barony of Westerland. Okay, ruled by Elspeth Margreta. Westerland is a wealthy province, and its merchant lords are grown fat on the trade that flows through Marienburg's vast harbours. So, okay, so these are the different factions that they've listed as well. This is really exciting. So we're going to look at the different empires, right? Or the different... I'm excited for Tomb Kings. Listen, I think... Chat, first question. What are you all excited for? Like, which factions are you excited for? That's one. That 5-minute tour break is what YouTube Shorts were made for. Anyway, right, the Barony of Westernley. Skaven, Wood Elves, all of it, honestly. Yeah, I miss Wood Elves. Orcs and Goblins, Plastic Uzbati, Vampire Counts, Chaos Dwarfs. The income AOS versus Old World Twitter war. There doesn't need to be that. There doesn't need to be that. Like, I'm not part of that. Excited for plastic jet bikes for Horus Heresy. That will be cool. Maybe Kislev, maybe Tomb Kings, otherwise find it hard to get excited about Old World. Well, you don't have to. I just want my dwarfs and their artillery back. Yeah, I'm a basic bitch, Bretonia. I think that's going to be crazy popular, man. The law, the miniatures, the rank of far regiments, Empire, Kislev. If they do Chaos, the timeline is just for Chaos, isn't it? They're definitely going to do Chaos. Okay, right, let's read where we're at now, right? And then we can talk about more of it. Ruled by Elspeth Margarita VI, Westerland is a wealthy province. Its merchant lords grow fat on the trade that flows through Marienburg's vast harbours. So Marienburg's awesome. So that's just in the bottom left hand of this corner. They did produce a bunch of Marienburg units way back in the day from Forge World, Marienburg. So they did the Marienburg. They did the Marienburg steamship. if everyone remembers that. Hold on, Marienburg. And then they did a couple of Marienburg upgrade kits. So this, on the far left-hand side, so the steamship was something they produced a long, long time ago. There was a boat, yeah, the steamship. So it's the land ship, that was it, right? On the far left-hand side. So they produced the Marienburg land ship, which is a miniature you could buy and paint from Games Workshop. There you go. It had rules. You could use it. So there's a picture of it. And they also did upgrade kits for Marienburg, where you had were they Nuln? No, actually, that's not true. They did the Marienburg land ship, and they did a bunch of Nuln upgrade kits for your infantry, so you could have some Nuln hand gunners and stuff. They also had a bunch of Mordheim stuff for each Empire faction. That's true. Okay, so that's that. And then you got the Grand Count of Osterland, ruled from a great city of Middenheim by Count Sigmund Ulrich. So this is the bear god. Osterland is home of the wolf emperor. Oh, that's the wolf. Yeah, Ulrich the wolf, sorry. Osterland is home of the wolf emperors of the north, fierce devotees of Ulrich. So Ulrich's like an out-and-out god. And Ulrich kind of came back to life during the end times for like a little minute to get eaten by Teclis. Teclis literally ate a god. Manana and Blades and the Norn Ironsides. That's it, Hamsfan. That was it. This is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen. What, talking about the land ship. The Marienburg land ship was like £250. It was nuts. It was terribly produced because it was made from forged resin. It was bent and warped and wasn't put together particularly well, but it was pretty cool. So, like, I don't really know what to say about that. Like, just pretty cool. Teclis has the worst law in Warhammer Fantasy by the end. That's true. Also kind of historical, yeah. So then we got the Wolves of Ulrich, and then we got the Principality of Reichland, occupying the heartland of civilized empire. The Reichland is ruled by pious Prince William I of Altdorf, a devout servant of the empire's patron deity. Now, I'm a huge fan of Reichland. They obviously have a special knight unit, and the reason I'm a big fan of Reichland, is I played the Dark Omen PlayStation 1 game. So I quite often tell people that I never played Warhammer when I was a kid. I didn't go through that arc where you played as a kid, you stopped playing it, I only played it as an adult. But I was obsessed with the Dark Omen game on PlayStation 1 way back in the day, and I literally cannot hear Altdorf without hearing the wizard Altdorf in my head. Like, it just screams when I read it. So great game. So that's Principality of Reichland. This is the empire. This is the faction that had the Knights of the Sun. Reichland do. And then you got the Grand Duchy of Talabek. So the largest and most culturally diverse of the four provinces, Talabek is ruled from the great walled city of Talabheim by Duke Ludwig VII. So these are the guys who are a lot more invested, the trees and they're a lot they're kind of like Forest Empire, if you will. They get that IP in earlier. They got it in my head. Yeah, you're right. Commander Bernhardt. That's it. Commander. We got to YouTube it. It doesn't matter. We got to Dark Omen. Dark Omen Commander. Someone's made it. Bernhardt. This is gonna look worse. This is gonna ruin my childhood. I just want Part 4 Brigands Attack.
There we go, Sam.
Oh no. Okay, it's nothing worth watching on YouTube apparently. But maybe potential for us to do a replay somehow, because this looks terrible. There's nothing good on there. Let's just skip that and go back. Oh boy. The dialogues between Bernhardt and the Witch Hunter were just gold. If anyone finds a good YouTube clip of it, but I just searched for it and I couldn't find anything. It all looked bad. One of the recent White Dwarfs had all these games for free with it. Oh my god, we need that. Anyway, okay. So that's Talabek. In Warhammer the Old World, we discover the Empire weakened by centuries of civil war, vulnerable to the ever-present threat posed by rampaging armies of invaders. Beastmen, grey herds surge from the deep forests, burning and defiling all that stands before them. From the moors and mountains come roving bands of orcs and goblins, looting and pillaging, while in distant and forgotten lands, ancient kings sit upon crumbling thrones, planning the reconquest of the lands of the living. Yet beyond these present threats looms the spectre of something far greater, the armies of Avasar Kull amassing in the north. So there's our chaos. While we know the Empire would ultimately unify under the leadership of the great Magnus the Pious. Oh, that was right. Someone in the chat said it was not under Karl Franz. So they get together under Magnus the Pious and turn back the armies of chaos. At what cost will this unity come? There are many more stories to tell of the years before the Great War against chaos and the desperate ruination of the end times. Truly, Warhammer the Old World promises to reveal much as it was in ways to captivate old and young. Okay. Imagine Games with White Dwarf weren't free. That is true. So this is the other article that they've done recently, but this was from October last year, so 3 months ago. And here they showcase that we got new art, and they showcase us Bretonians and Tomb Kings. And I think the reason that they showed us orcs as well, but I think the reason that they showed us that was because we're probably going to see Bretonian and Tomb Kings as the launch box. That's why they're the first things we saw. With greenskins and then Empire coming after. We don't know though how this launch is going to be because it's quite an odd release because some of it's like a brand new game, but some of it is in production already. Like we already have Free Guild Empire kits in production. We already have Wood Elves in production. We've even got like Black Hawks, as they were called, and now Ard Boys. So we already have a bunch of stuff that's in production, which can easily switch over to Old World. We don't even know if it's going to be in the Old World. If those armies are then going to those kits are immediately going to be usable in the Old World. I don't know if they're going to do, here's the Old World, here's the launch box, but here's, a kind of index of all the armies and some rules for all the armies, or it's literally going to be like, here's 2 teams, then every time we release a new team, you can add it into this lexicon, right? We had Space Marines in production when they did Heresy. We did Geordie Gamer Guy, but you had big full Space Marines. That's true, you did. But like they then expanded upon it, right? What I'm saying is are they going to sell it for both game systems? The rumor is no. So we don't know about that yet. Also, I guess the other I'm in too deep to quit now. Thank you, Mr. Bisquick, for resubscribing. Would have been sweet if they'd have made a model of Engra Death Sword if they're part of the Great War period. Do you think they'll go with 2 launch boxes? No, I think they're just going to do the 1 launch box. I think it will just be the 1 launch box. They said that the articles that they want to be able to use your old models in the new system. Hopefully means we won't be waiting 18 months for Lizardman rules, etc. Hey, Liam, I do think that they're going to say that as well. But I think we're going to, I don't know. Like, all right, like I'll try and take my all of my experience with Games Workshop off the shelf, right? Like I'll start on a blank slate, you and me, chat and me. How do you think they're going to release it? What do you think? And if you watch this back on YouTube, like leave some comments and stuff like on how you think they're going to release it. How would you release the Old World if you were going to release the Old World? Because they're a business. Like, everything I've ever seen from them is that they're a business. They're not a very good business. And before anyone's like, they make loads of money, Rob, I'm like, they also leave loads of money on the table. So that's what I'm referencing. A business would be like, well, we're going to definitely try and sell you all of our new stuff. Otherwise, why would they be investing money, right? But then, fuck knows, Necromunda exists, and who knows who buys that. My hot take is only 2 armies will be available at launch. Okay. They're redoing Free Cities models this year too, so they'll be removing the old humans and dwarfs, etc. They will, but I think that's because they're putting them in Old World. Geordie Gamer Guy. The room is no. Someone at Games Workshop Rob is definitely no. Do you think they will do some sort of grand alliances just to write less rules? No, I think that they're going to be very specific. You got to remember this is coming out of Forge World, right? Like, Forge World are the quintessential old school wargamer group, right? Like they are. That's how. Like this is going to be a war game. This is going to be crunchy. It's going to be. It's like they're going to be like, here's the Empire book. It's massive. This is not the easy entry game system. This will be like you're playing Empire. There's 12 different cities for Empire. There might even be supplement books for Empire. You don't even know. Right, and then I think that's my opinion. Obviously, it could be wrong. And like I said to Liam on Twitter earlier, I was like, just clip it. Like, I'm just guessing at the minute. I don't know anything. So, like, I'm going on what I would do. Doesn't mean that's what they're going to do. Doesn't mean what they've done in the past. Starter box and indexes for sure. Interesting. I imagine it'll be like 8th edition 40k with indexes released at launch. I imagine as well, Rob, but not sure. Warmaster Forge, hey buddy, hope you're well. Old kits made to order at the start to cover the armies not in the launch boxes, I guess. It's an interesting shout. The they'll do a 40k 8th ed type index system to get a quick army list out. So for anyone who doesn't know what happened, Warhammer 40k had 7th edition, and then they basically rewrote all of the rules, which meant all of the old codexes were out of date. The rules in them did not apply to how the current game works. So what they did was they did their launch box, and then they did an index or like a set of rules for every single existing army, every unit in every existing army, and they did that over like a series of different books. But you normally only had to pick up like 2 books, the index for your like main book and your index if you played any Forge World stuff, sort of thing. So that's kind of what you had to buy. And then they released codexes over time, then codex supplements, then campaign books, then terrain books, then chapter approved, and then mission packs, and then Psychic Awakening, and anyway, and then more books. But originally it started out as just some indexes, effectively. But that isn't how Forge World do it, or isn't how Forge World did it. Forge World did it in with the Horus Heresy. They did a book. You had some stuff for your book. They had some stuff, and you just had to wait for your Legion to get its updates. So they Forge World have had a system, and Games Workshop have had a system, and so we'll see. They released codexes and fucked it, yeah. Starting talking. Unless they really lead on people's old collections of Ravening Hordes, they'll do it like Heresy, Empire on launch, then a book with 3 to 4 factions, and another 3 to 4 factions. Yeah, I think that could easily be the way it works. But what's exciting is, like, however they do it, and the bit that I'm actually quite excited about today, and I don't actually 100% know where to go for this, so I'm going to look for it in a minute, is what will they release? Like, I haven't done this for years. Like it's fair to say, like, one of the things that I used to do when I first got into hobby, I was just like, I'd click the Games Workshop web store, and then I'd just click a faction. I'd be like, cool, I'm just going to look at all the minis, go look at all the story. I'd go buy a book, and I'd just read through all the stories of all the codexes and all the things. And I was like, this is awesome, right? That's how I used to do it. So, like, now we get to have a conversation about what do we think, like, because some of you didn't know that the landship existed, right? Oh, wait, is there a story on the Age of 3 Emperors? The Age of 3 Emperors at the time of the Emperors, a dark term which Age of Wars and the Dark Ages. Engulfed and divided the empires while the 2 emperors, Magnus the Pious. This is the story. Rad. Okay, we got the backstory, by the way, for the setting. So let's read this first, because I'm into that. Okay, I want to read the story. I don't know who sent this, but whoever sent it, thank you. The assassination of Mandred Skavenslayer in 1152 led to the serious political crisis. The electors simply couldn't agree upon the successor and failed to choose a new emperor. The absence of a central unifying authority inevitably led to the political turmoil as the provinces became full sovereign states in all but name. The rivalry between the powerful elector counts slowly increased as the more ambitious among them tried to gather support, each believing that should become the next emperor. During this period, several feuds, including the one involving the Graf of Middenheim, turned violent. However, they seemed to be minor events, not on the scale of civil war. Ooh. The Count of Stirland, a pawn of the cult of Sigmar, managed to get himself elected in 1359. His fiercest rival, Countess Olita of Tabbercland, and then consulted with R. Ulrich, claiming to have evidence that the cult of Sigmar had been founded by a madman, and that Sigmar was not a god, but the king blessed by Ulrich, and that all Sigmarites were heretics. Oh my god, religious war. Tired of the influence wielded by the cult of Sigmar, the R. Ulrich readily agreed with the Attila and moved the centre of the cult of Ulrich to Talabheim, with the support of both Air Ulrich and the cult of Tal. Attila accused the Count of Stirland of bribing several elector counts and denouncing the whole election as a sham. She then proclaimed herself Empress Attila in 1360. Her first move was the outlaw worship of Sigmar's Talabland. Civil wars inevitable. Okay, is this a setting? Time of the 3 Emperors. Situation worsened? Oh, bro, it's all here. This is great. There's going to be more Crusades. Correct, Elven Painter. I've told you this before. Games Workshop, the absolutely isn't centrally run by a church inside of their company. Oh my god, what is this? Warhammer Dark Omen full story. Yes! We can't watch this. We don't have time for this. We do not have time for an hour and 12 minutes of Warhammer Dark Omen, but we'll come back to it. I just want to see my boys. Okay, hold on. Let me just get my boys. This is all I want. Hold on.
From attack by goblins.
this. Give me this.
A battleground is a banquet of dead men's flesh. The crows are dining well. Win or lose, the crows never go hungry, eh, Klaus?
Death, some say, is its own reward, Morgan.
Oh my god, this game was incredible when I was like 12. This is like the one. It was so good. Yeah, that voice.
If death's a reward, I'll take it in gold coin, old friend. Preferably from Emperor Karl Franz. That man owes me.
Perhaps he's about to pay. You've been summoned to the Imperial Court in Altdorf. Immediate departure. Reason unknown.
Okay,
Who told
question.
you this?
Question. Does anyone know if we can buy this on Steam? Because if we can buy this on Steam, we should do like a weekend playthrough. I should just do like a Saturday day, and then we just load it up in the morning, and then we just all play through. It's on GOG. What the fuck is GOG? It came free a while ago. It's def on GOG. What's going on with accent? It's changing by the second. GOG should have it. What is GOG? I'm going to just check on Steam because I don't know what GOG is. Good old games. GOG.com. Okay, all right. It's in this White Dwarf for free. I mean, you still have to buy the White Dwarf. It's in it for free. Surely it's just on Steam. Let me just... Hold on. Let me just check on the Steam store to see if it's on Steam, because then we can go. What am I looking for? Dark Omen. No, it's not on here. Sad. Otherwise, that would have been an instant purchase, and we would have played that together on stream. Because that would have been perfect. That would have been the one. Everyone else is playing Dark Tide. I'm going old school. Okay, we'll get it on GOG, whatever that is. GOG is Steam for a different company. Okay, well then I'll get GOG, and then we'll get it. And does everyone want to play it? Do a playthrough, right? You got a code with it along several other old games. Yes, and a ton of other Warhammer games. They actually dropped the Good Old Games name because they also sell new games. Okay. All right. So then, should we pick? I think we should pick this up. We're gonna pick up. We're gonna pick up Dark Omen and play it through together one day. Are you in? Okay, let's do it. It's definitely rose-tinted lenses when playing it. It looks so awful now, but I remember it so fondly. Bro, I remember it being so good. I just want to get the Bright Wizard. Whenever you got the Bright Wizard, that guy made me laugh so much.
Flame Striker.
Greetings, Commander Bernhardt.
Commander Bernhardt! Greetings!
It has been some time since I last rode with you, and now you have need of me again.
And why should I need you again?
Look around you. Look at this haunted town. Dark magic in the air.
Dark magic in the air!
And here I stand, a bright wizard to combat the dark.
A mage might prove invaluable, Morgan. Who knows what's up ahead?
Well, you were...
I remember getting the wizard and being like, this guy is the fucking... All right, this is it. We're doing this. We're playing this together. Chat, it's in. It's on. Let's go. All right, so then we've got the story of the original Empire all here. So then the next thing we need to do is look at, like, the Tomb King roster for Warhammer Fantasy. Right? There has to be like a page. Oh, it's all going to be Total War. It's all going to be Total War, isn't it? Like, we're not going to be able to find Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Warhammer Fantasy Battle. And then miniatures? Put edition into the title. Okay. I mean, there's a Lexicanum link. Okay. So for Tomb Kings, but there's a bunch of just different JPEGs, like Casket of Souls is like 3 times. Are we going to have to get the PDF? We got to get the PDF. Dark Lord of Cheese. Let's go. You fucking legend. Okay. So, Warhammer Fantasy Armies. Okay. We want Bretonia. Let's just do Bretonia. We'll do Bretonia to start off. Okay. See, this is not what I wanted. Like, this is cool, but it's just a shit ton of text. Like, Are we gonna? Surely the PDFs are online. Surely that's the next mission, is to find all the PDFs. Like, we got to find all the old world PDFs, and then start looking through the roster. Because the thing is because then the next thing is, right, like, let's look through the roster and let's look what stays. Like, obviously Pegasus Knights are going to come back. We're going to get Grail Knights. Like, look at this. So they're going to do this, I'm almost certain. Like, the Dukedoms of Bretonia, they'll do all of the Dukedoms. Games Workshop Resources Compendium. Thank you very much, Lilburn Level. Tomb King units. Oh, Douglas. Let's go. Okay, so we've got like a list of units here. So we've got the Carrion, the Casket of Skulls, the Dust Goblin. What is this? The Dust Goblin is the name given to undead goblins raised by necromancy in the deserts of Kemri. There is no such thing as Dust Goblins in Warhammer Chronicles. Dust Goblins. Oh my god, this thing is literally fucking riddled with ads. It's disgusting. Tomb King Squad JPEG, yeah. Let's fucking go. We're all Dust Goblins now. All White Dwarf with races of random gobs was hilarious. The fucking Dust Goblin, he visits my mountain of plastic daily to guilt me on my unpainted stash. You need an ad blocker. I do. Okay. All right. So we know things like the War Sphinx. I'm hoping there's an image. Right. Okay. Okay. This didn't go quite the way I thought it was going to go. So we're going to have to do some. What I would like to do is go through all of. I'd like to go through all of the those starting armies, and then see where they're available, and then find some additional like miniatures and stuff, because this is going to be hype. Okay, so sure, the War Sphinx is there. This is just a disgusting website. But is that the one taken from Total War as well? Like, it's just everything Total War now. This is great. An old world model tier list, obviously, right? Someone is talking about goblins. That's true. You're not really, yeah. The old Sector of 4-horse chariot was epic. The Necrosphinx. Hold on. Where's Necrosphinx? Dust Goblins is funny. The Necrosphinx is here. Hold on. Again, still Total War. Lol. That's funny. Like, Total War Warhammer 2. That's where the picture is from. It doesn't really say what it is. We're going to have to get the original, but we're going to have to get the original books. That's what we got to do. We got to get the original books. I think that there's an old website where they're all maintained and updated. There's I think it's called the Warhammer Armies Project. I think. Yes. Fucking let's go. The Warhammer Armies Project. Here you go. So I'll put the link in the chat for everyone. Oh yes. Who's done this? Dark Lord of Cheese. Let's go. Please download. We want core book Tomb Kings. Do you want to do Tomb Kings or Empire? We've been talking about Empire today, so let's do Empire. Okay, read more. Download file. I want Warhammer 8th edition. Yes, download. Give me this. Oh my god. Infinite loop. Infinite loop. Download PDF. Oh no. This is going to take forever. Just read. Just read it. Okay, I can't. Rob downloads a virus live on stream. I'd like to quit the most extreme heresy and put Potgrot in half. No, don't do it. What did Tristan put out? I don't hate you. Yeah. If you've got a link, yes, absolutely, yes. Oh my god, yes. Let's go. Have you got? Let's just do Bretonia. You are an angel. Thank you for sending it to me. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Hold on. One sec. Let me just go put this on. Oh my god. This is my coffee. This is my lunch break reading. Here we go, Protonia! Okay. Let's do this. Bretonia, baby. Bretonia, baby. It's back. They said it couldn't be done. And yet, Games Workshop deleted the world, got a marketing department, and then brought the world back. Okay. Okay, Brotonia. Exactly, Brotonia. One lady allowed, and she must be a damsel. No other ladies. Okay. Did it work? Yeah, I got it. I got the link. Thanks, chat. Thanks to Datcom in the chat for dropping it. Okay, so that's what the army used to look like. These models are still good. I just can't wait to a proper Vampire Counts army. Oh man, I can use the old cardboard castles again. Yes, you can. Right. Look at that. Look at that. The models are still good. They just got redone before they were squatted. Talking about? I think that they're going to do brand new models for Bretonia. Personal opinion. The peasant models are right. Okay, so we got Louis. God, these books are huge. It was just pictures. Just loads of pictures, wasn't it? We haven't read a thing yet. It's just been pictures for fucking pages of this stuff. Okay, we're on to some story. The Land of Chivalry. Oh my god. Maybe Thursdays is Old World Day now, until it comes out. I think they'll make a new Vlad von Carstein. Yes. I think they're going to make all new minis. I think they'll use minis they've got as stopgap minis, and I think they'll make all new minis. Inspiration, background, and depth. I mean, these... we skip units. Okay, because we're on the units now. Okay, so we're straight at the top. The Masters of Bretonia. The Blessings of the Lady. So these are some... I'm not sure what these are. Okay, so yeah, these are the special rules for the army. I'm so used to reading codexes and battle tapes, I just started skipping it. Okay, so who have we got? The Heroes of Bretonia. Okay, so a Lord and a Paladin. All right. Okay, so 4 attacks on the Lord. Paladin's only got 3 attacks. Devoted to the Goddess. You got a Prophetess and a Damsel. And they got some special rules, some universal special rules. You got the Knights Errant. You got the Knights of the Realm, Questing Knights. This is, I think we need like one of the newer books, because I think that they were put together a little bit better. So like, the issue for Bretonia is they were so bloody hard to paint. A printer model, yeah. We'd love this to be an ongoing deep dive. I'm a year into AOS and would love to learn about the old world ready for its relaunch. Oh, Winlaw. Okay, yeah, me too. They squatted Warhammer Fantasy Battle because no one bought the old minis. They're obviously not going to use the old ones. They squatted it because they couldn't IP protect it and they lost a court case. Is why they squatted it, as in stopped making it. You reckon they'll update this in favor of stuff like Lady Brotonians? In favor of stuff like Lady Brotonians. I think they'll put ladies in it. They'll have like lady, like you can have some lady peasants. But the peasants were so funny. The men at arms, and then just the fucking outright peasants. The peasant bowmen. You fucking dirty povos. Peasants were genderless. That's true. Yone of Bretonia. War Master's Forge, what's this? That is almost all of the books. Thank you. I'm going to make a little folder with all the books in. Yes, let's go. Chat, I love that they're all available. This is great. How the Tory landowners in the old world. Yeah, they're the Bretonians. I've said this before. The problem with Bretonians is that, like, they're awesome and cool, but they're also like landed lords. You know, I'd be there just being like, no, I'm living in a narco commune. That's what I'd say. I wouldn't be like doing none of this tipping me hat to the me lords. I'd be living in the woods, trying to nick all their gold. That's what I'd be doing. 8th edition Warriors Chaos was so good. I agree. Vow Poverty Hero leading a peasant army. Let's go. Vow Poverty Hero leading a peasant army. Yeah. As long as the Lord was based as hell, and he was just like, I'm gonna redistribute. We're going to go on a war of campaign, but I'm going to redistribute all the wealth that we make to you, my army. Yeah? Scroll further in the book. You'll have them proper listing heroes. Thank you very much, Dark Lord of Cheese. The catapult. The catapult has to come back. Okay. Choosing a virtue. Ooh. This is something I miss. Like in Age of Sigmar, you can take a lot of additional stuff. You can take a spell, you can take a command trait, you can take an artifact, but like they're all of intrinsically the same value. And I know this is going to sound really silly, but the fact that they have no value, like they have a value in what they do, but they have no like cost, and because they have no cost, they feel, I don't know, they feel different, right? In a world where we know, the trebuchet. I used to say, okay, roll to misfire. Yeah, it wasn't Robin Hood and Friends set of minis. I wish there was. Is there a Robin Hood set of minis? Do an Old World Thursdays where we just go through all the old books and lore until Old World comes out. The sheer nostalgia alone will be worth it. Chat, what do you think? Give me a. Would you go through? If we just pick a book like next week? Let's say we were going to do Empire, and we just went through it for the whole couple of hours on stream. Would you be in for it? Like, we just do a day a week, and it wouldn't be like, I wouldn't be writing lists. It would just be reading shit off a page and talking about stuff. Yep. I would love Old World Thursdays, the old book club. Honestly, I'd watch you read the telephone book. Per sure, you're a fucking cutie. Sister no fault, you can tell for now. You're welcome. We could also look at proxies. We definitely could look at proxies. That's what I was thinking. The Old World Spy Center. Exactly. If you go to download the PDFs by now, Games Workshop will hunt them down. I mean, I'm obviously going to download them right now. Have you all chatted about the new FAQs today? Shadowsun, I haven't. Is there a new FAQ out today, buddy? For which game system? We could look at Kill Team. I heard it's good. Nah, fuck that. Thank you. You've seen much of Warhammer Armies project. It's the community, this that I have open. This thing, right here. It's the community done 9th edition, which brought a lot of the old armies up to date and still holds all the 8th edition books. I got it, bud. I got it. And maybe this will be the thing that we used to jump off. Also, I know if I did Old World Thursdays, I know for a fact I get loads of special guests. Rob, I listen to you chatting, but no interest in Old World. But it's good as a subject, isn't it? Oh, well, it's good. You know who hates Old World? 9th Age players and their 2D terrain. That's true. Alright, this could also be fun, just to see how different it is to now. I think the thing to plan... Okay, right, so if we're going to be Old World curious, yeah? OWC. Yeah, OWC. If we're Old World curious, then what we would do is we would pick out one of the armies, right? Pick an army. And then what we'd do is, like on the stream, we could produce like a really good video together as like a group. Is we could read through all the shit and just have fun, create some fucking silly nonsense content and have a laugh. I'm in for that, let's go. But then also we could be like, actually, here's a list of really good 3D print places so you can go print them ahead of the game coming out, right? Which would be really good, yeah? Vampire counts 24/7 stream. Like then we could just build, and then we could even maybe start producing those armies and stuff and be like, I really want to look at like the roster that was, and I want to look at the new rosters. I'm not all curious, but my car keys never left the bowl.